welcome to Tea and Things. I'm Tracy and this is my daughter Courtney. We're coming to you to share a little bit of our knits, a little bit of our felts, a little bit of our tea, and some other things that we can find along the way. Hope you enjoy us. This is our first trial, so we'll see how we do. So, Courtney, what do you have on your needles?
On my needles right now, I am making the center panel for a Harry Potter baby blanket, Hufflepuff House, per request. So, and I'm about to start on the color work, so there's a ton of threads coming off of it for the paws, for the little badger paws for the Hufflepuff House symbol, which will be the center panel of a good sized lap blanket, because then we'll have 12 other smaller squares around the edge of it. And that I'll stitch together when they're all done.
And who's this for?
This is for Anna. My
second baby, right?
Yes. Second baby. And I just got done with a Harry Potter blanket Gryffindor one for my sister Brandy. And you
forgot that today, though.
Yeah. No, I already gave it to her, so it's...
We'll show it second time.
Yes.
Oh, we're going to have to go get it. Yeah, because that's a cool one. You got to show that one. You have to.
I was pretty pleased. It turned out much bigger than I had anticipated. I don't ever gauge. I don't do swatches. I just don't. I know everybody's like, swatch.
Everybody out there gasped. Everybody did.
I know.
I heard it.
I did. And
unfortunately, she learned it from me because I don't do that either. Sorry, guys.
The scandal of it is all true. I hate swatches, and I have never in my life ever swatched. Not once. And I highly doubt I ever will.
I have.
You've swatched?
I have swatched, and I learned that I don't like it. So I just don't.
Was it the first? Was it the sweater?
No. You know, we'll need to talk about why you knit.
And I have the perfect archive for that, because that was my first pattern, which I redid.
Nice.
So,
okay. So anyway, blanket. We're getting off track already. This is quick.
Yeah, and
This is harder than it looks, guys.
It is. I also have a pair of socks on the needles, not with me. I'm doing I think it's called the magic loop, where you do...
Just one needle?
2 needles. I've got 2 circular needles going, and I'm doing both socks at the exact same time.
Nice.
I'm already past the heel. I'm on the foot. Not really hard to get that far, because they're smaller.
You're talking too fast, Woody.
They're for my older side. So, small feet.
There you go. Good. We'll have to bring those next time.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be farther along.
So just the 2 things on the needles?
That aren't hibernating? Yes. That are actively being worked on?
We need to totally have a hibernation section, because I have a couple of hibernated needles as well.
Yeah, the other day I was cleaning out my knit area, and it was like, oh my god, I was totally working on that. I forgot. I didn't even remember I had passed on a couple of different projects.
So just 2 active projects on the needles right now.
Yes, although...
Because this blanket is like, we're having baby any day, and you kind of need to hit the grind and get it done. Right. And sometimes you have to have an extra set on the needles just to get off of that for a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. Well, and I'm about to cast on...
Anyway.
I am planning on casting on another project in like a day or 2. I finally got all the stuff that I need for it.
Nice.
I showed you my new knit book, which I should bring in soon. Geek Knits.
I should have brought my knit. Yeah, it's so big that you had to buy it twice.
I love the book. Super excited to try one of the patterns.
Who's the author, do you remember?
I do not.
Okay, we'll get better at this, I swear. This is the parts that we're going to have struggles with.
Right.
Sorry,
Note to self.
Because we just get what we want and do it.
Yeah.
Seriously, and same with our knit, our yarn. It's like, what yarn? You're using Cascade 220 on that, right?
No.
Superwash?
No,
okay.
I'm not.
That's what you usually use.
It is what I usually use. This calls for so much yarn that I couldn't fit it in the budget.
Right.
So I went less expensive, and instead of going to the knit shop, I went to Michael's. And I got... Oh, gosh, what's the name of it? I think it's like the Sleek and Shiny yarn. It's an all acrylic.
We'll find out for you next time. We'll get better.
It's a worsted weight yarn, machine washable. I've used it before because I knit all 3 of my children's sweaters out of it. And it washes really well. It wears pretty well.
I find that it fuzzes quick though. Like after a year of wear, you've got a fuzz layer on it, and not a bad
Yeah.
fuzz.
I kind of like the fuzz.
You know, and I think with the right thing, like Ripley's sweater, that fuzz is so cute. You know, that pink hue above that purple heart is absolutely fantastic. But on certain things, like I wouldn't want that on a neck wrap, maybe.
No. But I think on the blankets, it'll look good.
Yeah, I think so too. It'll wear well.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, I wasn't a really synthetic knitter. I was kind of the natural knitter, quite snobbish with it at times. And having a health crisis, I learned that sometimes knitting is more important than what you're knitting with. So I have learned to appreciate acrylics. I have.
Hard lesson.
It's been a hard lesson, and I would prefer natural, but I would much rather have something to knit with than wait till I can afford something natural.
I have to say, I've been going back to like the local knit shop and stuff and other knit shops, and I'm always kind of astounded at the prices that some yarns can reach.
Right. It's sad because I used to shop, and I feel like acrylics has opened that up for me again. But I used to shop with the touch desire.
Oh, do I want to touch that?
I wouldn't look at the price. I would go into a knit shop, and I had my budget, and it was going to be whatever my budget would allow. And I would go, and I would feel, and I would, and I would think, what could this make? And what I couldn't put away was what I got to knit with. So I really, really, really loved the feel of my knits. It's one of the things that I still have problems with going online. People have told me to go online and I can get it for cheaper, and I don't get to touch it. I don't know what it feels like, and I don't like that part. But so the acrylics allow me to get in there. Again, I go to Michael's and I hit that aisle and I find the size that I want. What is that called?
The gauge or weight.
The weight, I think, that I want to knit with, and then I find the feel. And if it's a garment that's going to touch my skin, it's got to be silky soft. So I'm going to work right into what's on my needles because I have something on my needles that's very acrylic and very soft. And it is...
Oh, and you've got the name of the yarn.
I do have the name of the yarn. This is the white one that is the fringe of this, but it's wool-like...
what is that? Loops and threads. It's a loops and threads wool-like wool-like.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get close. That's at Michael's. It's $2.99 a skein. So
and it's so soft.
It's so soft.
I made my
I
husband
got a lot of it because it's so soft.
a pair of socks out of that, and I made Dad a pair of socks out of
Did
that.
they fuzz out?
Not at all.
See, I haven't.
They have washed fabulously. They have worn fabulously. They are super cozy soft, but they do feel.
Oh, look at that! It's coming out blue. This is actually purple.
I wonder if you maybe get it closer, if it won't wash out to blue.
How weird is that?
If it will stay a little more true to color. Nope, still looks blue. Weird. It's actually lavender.
Actually, you know what? If I drape it, it turned purple. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's purple. One of my favorite colors. And it is so soft. This is a shawl. Can you take one end of it from me, love? This shawl, it is on my needles. It's the second shawl. It's the Devonshire, Duchess of Devonshire shawl from Kay and Bakery Bears. Bakery Bears. Love, love, love them. They got me into reading patterns for the first time in 30 years of knitting. So super excited about it. That's one of my favorite on the knits. This is my second shawl.
And it's so soft.
And I'm super close. I call this the never-ending cast-off, but I love it because it has a great flow to it.
And you should show them the beading on this. The beads have turned out beautifully.
I don't know how you can get. I'll let you get up closer.
So she has beaded the whole edge of this lacy cast-off with these cute little white beads that have a silver center. So they just turn out really cool. And the effect is really pretty.
Metallic silver. Here's the beads that I've been using. They are the perfect beads for knitting with. It's like, that's been my newest thing, is learning to knit with the beads, and I'm having a great time with that. But anyway, so that's one of the things that's on my needles.
Which, speaking of, what did you think of your...
And then, so because I got into knitting with beads, Courtney gave me this book, and I love it. It's given me a lot of ideas, a lot of suggestions.
Just saying.
She's not lying.
Toot toot, right here.
And then, so I have a lot of that in my stash. You have anything else you want to say while I look at this?
She also has another thing on her needles that she'll probably get to in a bit that she did beading onto, and it looks really awesome.
Yeah, I could have done that one right away because it's sitting right beside me. But I want to talk about obligation knits.
Oh, yeah.
It's a thorn in my
Right here.
side right now because Christmas is coming. A lot of us want to knit for others. A lot of us have our own projects that we're knitting. Some of us want to knit for our own selves. All of these things. And then you have people that don't knit that want you to knit for them. And I always want to knit. They think that, oh, wow, boom, you got this product. You can give it to me tomorrow. And, okay, the thing about my opinion about obligated knits, now you can knit for somebody and knit something for someone. And to me, when it turns into an obligating knit is when it becomes no fun.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that.
I have an obligated knit happening right now that I'm really trying to find joy in, or I'm just not.
But you weren't stoked about the idea of knitting it.
I wasn't.
Were you?
No, I wasn't. And it is for my father and for a friend of his. And it has nothing to do with my dad. It has nothing to do with my friend. Well, maybe some inner stuff. But the biggest thing is I've done something like it. And I'm a person that I'll knit like crazy with something I'm digging on right now. And then when I'm done with it, I'm done. I don't want to knit with it anymore. I don't want to knit it anymore. I've learned every avenue of it, and I'm done. I'm ready to move on to the next adventure. Well, this is a knit to felted boot. And I've done that one before. I've done that one for my mom the year before she passed away. And it was a hard knit. It was an emotional knit. So some of that emotions, I'm sure, is coming into that as well. But this is my obligated knit, and I've got to get it done before Christmas. I've been working on it now for a couple of months. I keep losing the pattern.
Which, if you want to know what the pattern is or where to find it,
She's so good at it.
it is in the knittinguniverse.com magazine, and it is from the fall 2009 issue, which, if you go on their website, you can still order a back order of it, and they'll ship it to you, and it's actually pretty quick. I mean, it's only a couple of days, like, what, four days, maybe?
Maybe.
So, I mean, not bad. It has some really cute patterns
The
in
pattern
here.
sucked. I'm sorry.
You didn't like them?
No, well, she has to rewrite my patterns most of the time. And Kay Jones has been the first person out there that has written a pattern that I can read without any help interpreting what it is that you want me to do.
The shoe
So I
pattern
know
was
it's
hard.
out there. I thought it was me. I don't think it's me anymore. I think it's the knit writers now. My daughter knows my language, and she can rewrite it, is what she usually does for me. And I can follow direction. I know I can do that. But pattern directions are really hard.
Here
So
is
that's the boots that I'm making.
the boots.
And this is what it looks like so far. I've got the first one. I'm at the toe. I just need to do it. Last night I was so desperate not to do it that I put like 3 more things on the needle. It's just ridiculous. And I'm not even going to go through all of them. I ended up making a headband. I mean, it was just like I was running everywhere to get away from it. So that's all I'm going to show us on the needles right now. I've got some archaic needles that are floating about.
You want to do your handbrake from
My
the
hand
Bakery
break.
Bears?
Again, the Bakery Bears has given me a
We
pattern.
might be fans.
Just
Maybe
a
a
little bit. Just a smidge. That gave me yet another pattern 2, that I could read without help and embellish. Love to embellish patterns. I think each and every one of us should do that and make them our own, but that's just me being weird. This is their handbrake, and I have a handbrake off my my needles here in a minute, but this one is still on. I have put the little beads, if you can see that. I've put the beads in.
That looks cool.
Yeah, doesn't it look really good?
I really like that.
In every 5th stitch, you do a purl with this handbrake pattern, and I'm doing a purl and a bead, and then 5 stitches, a purl, bead, 5 stitches. And it's turning out really cool. I can't wait to see it done.
Are you using the floss in that beading, or are you using a different method?
I am using the floss, yeah. Yeah, and I should probably talk about that a little bit, huh? I wasn't ready for that one. So the floss method, there's 3 different methods of putting beads on. I've tried all 3 of them, and I encourage everybody to do all 3 and find what works for them. This is the one that works for me. It's called the floss, and it's crazy. It's dental floss, for crying out loud.
But it's special dental floss,
It is
right?
special dental floss, and
It's
I have
like
it,
super dental floss.
but it ran away. Well, it's dental floss for like braces and things that people need to have special care with. So,
Is this it?
but it's the box of it.
Yeah, it literally is super floss
I'm
that has now started holding
using
pins.
it as a pin box.
But you can get it at pharmacies, correct?
Yes, but the end of it has it's like hard, like soft needle hard. So the thing is you can weave it into the stitch that you've got working, and then pull the bead on it and pull this out, and you've got a bead that is front and back equal. Now, with other methods, you put your bead up front, or you tuck the bead in the back. You make the bead part of the yarn itself, and it twists it into the yarn. I personally like it when it's on the stitch on both sides, front and back. And so on your product, you have it front and back.
And
it
now,
just sits well for me. I like
most of the time when you put the bead on this way, they tell you to use a really tiny crochet hook.
Right.
And you put the bead on the crochet hook, and then you take the crochet hook and snag onto your loop and slide the bead on. This kind of takes out having to fuss with the crochet hook.
You don't
and a
lose
bead every time.
beads, you don't lose your yarn.
Yeah.
I was having a really hard learning curve with the little hook. I didn't like it. So, got that on the needles. Can't wait to see that done. And I just lost my yarn. Okay, cool.
Okay, so what is off?
Me first?
Yeah.
Okay. What is off my needles? So I'm going to go right to the handbrake since I just showed you. Sorry about that, Courtney. Since I just showed you. That hasn't been blocked. And I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about blocking a little bit.
You and you're blocking now.
I learned knitting. Maybe we should take this to see why we knit or how we learned how to knit. But I knitted from a friend of mine that's from Australia that I met when I lived in England. And she taught me, her words, not mine, the old way of knitting. And I actually have that book somewhere, and it's not the way she taught me. But anyway, she was not a fan of blocking necessarily, so she helped me not appreciate blocking or understand it so well. So I swore that was one of the things I wouldn't do, like yoga, and I do both of those sometimes. And
yeah, she used to be so anti-blocking. She was like, "What's the point of blocking?"
Yeah, I had attitude with it. And thanks to Kay Jones and the Bakery Bears, I completely appreciate blocking, and I have to block everything that I knit now. It's like part of my ceremony of knitting now. It's just crazy. But so this is her handbrake, and if you can see it,
well, isn't that Dan?
It is Dan's. He did this while he couldn't knit, and it just that really resonated with me because I kind of let go of knitting while I was going through cancer because of the feeling in my hands, and I got into needle felting, but we'll go into that when we go rogue. But his story touched mine in the aspect that I understood where he was when he made this, so I had to have it. I had to make it. I had to see if it was a fluke that I could read a pattern. All of that was fantastic, and I could read it. But anyway, so this is his handbrake. It is not blocked yet, so I apologize for that. And this was a car job in the aspect that I only knitted it when I was out of the house, so there's a lot of mistakes in there. I am not one that frogs well. I'm learning. I try. I do better than I used to.
You frog more than I've ever seen you frog.
I'm learning. I am learning, but I don't appreciate the frog process. So if I can get away with it, I don't. And I thought that looks cool. The mistakes make it unique, right?
And she often gets away with it.
Often, that's my problem. Is I often get away with it, right? That's the big thing. So, dun, 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 drum roll, please. This is my prize off of the needles piece. This is the Devonshire shawl. This is done in a wool and alpaca blend. It wasn't one that I liked. I knew it was 100% fiber because I had it for over 10 years ago because I didn't like it. And I couldn't find anything that I wanted. It didn't feel good. My mother-in-law, I remember the day that I got it, which is fantastic about knitters. We all know and remember that beautiful day that we picked that perfect yarn out. And my mother-in-law, not being a knitter, did not appreciate or understand that love of yarn. And she got me some beautiful yarn. This is absolutely beautiful.
I'm
And
going to step away for just a minute.
okay,
Keep going.
sorry. We may stop this and edit it out, so we'll see. But if I can get this close enough, there's purple specks in it, and it's cool. But again, it was pretty scratchy, and so this was my first knit along that I did. Thank you, Kate. It was fantastic. I had a great time. I got her pattern, and like I said earlier, to my absolute surprise, I could read it. I could follow it, and I could duplicate it completely. So I felt like I needed to duplicate it completely, that I needed to take over and learn something new. And I completely did. I learned how to block because that was part of it. Everybody was blocking and then showing their stuff. So I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. And I wanted to do natural fiber because it was an experience for me. And I love my natural fibers. And then it came out just incredible, absolutely incredible. I appreciated every aspect of it. I would do it again, which is even funner. But my shawl, which has been the first thing I've ever blocked, believe it or not, over 30 years of knitting, first shawl I've ever blocked. And first piece of anything that I've ever blocked. And I fell in love with blocking. I fell in love with the end product that blocking gives us. I believe it goes from professional or handmade. Somebody said like handmade to homemade. And it's so true. There's a difference, and I didn't realize or appreciate the difference. Maybe I don't know, but I'm rambling about blocking. If you've never blocked, block. It's worth it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give that a go because
Yeah, you too.
I've never blocked.
She is not a blocker. So that was my two big things off of the needle that I wanted to share specific today. What's off of your needles,
Off of
Courtney?
my needles, aside from the blanket that I don't have,
Yeah, we'll bring that next week. That'll be next week. That's archive piece, isn't it?
No, these are not.
Oh.
These I just finished not long ago. And they are Cascade, like Cascade 120 or something. They are...
You gotta get better at that.
I know. They're super wash. They're merino. And I got some because every year for our anniversary, I make my husband the same hat. And it is a pattern that I got from Charmed Knits. It's an awesome, awesome knitting book. I'm on my third copy because I tend to take it everywhere with me. Except for today because I don't want to ruin my new copy.
But you have to bring it next week.
I will
so
have
we
to
can
bring
show it because she is really obsessed with this.
It was the first ever knitting book I ever got. I did my very first ever knitting pattern out of it.
Because I didn't really do knitting books and patterns so much.
And yeah, I love
She's taught herself
that book. I don't believe it's in print anymore, but it's still available. You can get it at some knit shops. Look for it used, and you can get it on Amazon. Although it's kind of a little bit more expensive because it's not in print. But this is not from that. I just used my leftover yarn from the other project on these because my hands are cold.
I kind of ranted about blocking.
Well, these have not been blocked, although they have been worn. They are fingerless gloves, and they are owl fingerless gloves. I got the pattern on Ravelry, and if you find me on Ravelry, they are in my project tab, so you can find the pattern that they're from.
You probably say how to find us on Ravelry, right?
Well, I'm Courtney on Ravelry.
I'm Massage Mimi.
Yeah, so
on Ravelry.
We're there.
And I'm not on anything else. No, that's not true. I'm on Facebook. But I'm Tracy on Facebook.
Yes.
That's all I got.
And we may or may not start a group for this. I know, it would be kind of fun. But yeah, so my son happens to love owls, so I thought I would give these a go.
Oh, that's a good view, Courtney.
Right?
You could really see it. Good job.
And then
Good
there's
job.
got the little finger spot right there. They knitted up awesome, super fast, and they fit really well. I really love them. They are supposed to have little buttons that you add in here for eyes, but on one of them, I accidentally skipped a row, and so the head's a little squished and a little small for buttons, so I didn't want to add eyes on one and not on the other, so I just didn't add eyes. Although I may use this pattern again because I enjoyed it so much, and attempt to not skip that row and do it, and do the eyes as well.
Actually do beading work?
Yeah, well, you don't actually, you do it afterwards. It's a secondary
But
stitch.
you could.
You could, but
That
you
would
don't.
be fun to figure out. But you could. You could.
But
You
you don't.
wouldn't have to go back and do it. I'm not a go-backer person.
In the picture of it, I really, really liked they used itty-bitty buttons instead of beads, and I liked the buttons.
You wouldn't have to use buttons. You could use...
I know I
Or
wouldn't
you
have to.
use beads, but you could use buttons. You could knit those buttons right into it. I could show you.
I don't want to.
Okay.
But yeah, this is my most recent off the needles.
Excuse me.
Otherwise, it's just been bits and pieces of the blanket. And the big blanket that I finished that again. I don't have. But we'll hopefully bring next week. And that's kind of all I've got off my needles.
Okay.
Do we want to go archive?
Let's go archive.
All right, archive, I have a bit. So
yeah, let's talk about archive before you show.
Okay.
What is archive?
Archive is what you have knit long ago that you're still proud of.
They still need to be appreciated, right?
Right? I agree. No, I'm still pretty proud of these knits.
Yeah.
And they aren't complicated knits, but they're still like, yeah,
Sometimes
I totally
you
knit
forget
that.
how much you knit until you see somebody walking by with your knit going, wow, that's cool. And then you realize it's yours and you're like, wow, I'm cool. Look at me.
I know.
Look what I did.
My knits tend to get given away.
Yes,
so it's like I
mine
feel like I
too.
never knit because I don't have a whole lot of knits.
I feel that way too, but lately, since cancer, I'm a greedy girl. I've been keeping my knits. And I think it's probably because it's acrylics.
But I feel like you see...
Oh, the snob in me just poked out. Did you see her?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, I don't like her. I did acrylics all of Christmas last year.
One of her archives is this headband that I'm wearing now that you did with scraps
I did with scraps.
from her stash.
Because I was desperate to work with naturals.
And so it's all natural. And I have to say, it does have a tiny bit of scratchiness to it if you wear
Because
it for
it's
a
not
long
locked.
I
I learned.
but it's super cozy.
Because my
Freaking
scratchy thing,
warm.
my scratchy shawl stuff, when I blocked it, that's one of the things I learned about blocking is blocking takes that scratch away.
I feel like I already put so much effort in and leaving all the ends.
No, but you can bless it in the water. You can say goodbye to it. You can say thank you for all the things that it gave to you. Well, it's a good thing. Anyway, sorry.
So, an archive. Old, but still loved.
Old, but still loved. And old could be just a year.
Yeah, or heck, even 6 months. It doesn't have to be that old to be archived.
Okay, go for it. Go. Talk. Sorry.
Okay. So this, it is not as neon yellow as it appears.
Oh,
It is, I know, right? It is actually a goldeny yellow.
funny is that color stuff.
I know, it's the sun.
Oh.
It's because we're using natural light, so it's like, I don't know, it's a little different. This is again, Gryffindor scarf. As you might know, I'm a bit of a Harry Potter geek, a little bit. Again, charmed knits. Love this pattern. It is the coziest scarf.
It is. She's
ever.
made one for all of us. And it's like freaking long. How
It
long
takes
is
a
it,
lot
like
of your
6 feet?
Yeah,
I think it's longer than I am tall.
It is forever and a day. And
It's beautiful. It's awesome.
if
In
you
the
know
wintertime,
somebody who wants to learn how to
I need
knit,
to turn that up.
I know it's not even,
Been
or
used and loved hard.
anything like that, it is the best
Sorry.
beginner's pattern ever. It was the first pattern I ever did, which is why I
Let's
bought.
talk about why you did it.
Yeah. So the whole reason I learned how to knit was because I was a giant Harry Potter fan. And this was 9, 10 years ago.
I don't know.
Because I knew how to crochet. Not
Oh,
very
yes.
well. I knew how to crochet when I was little. And I would like crochet in a line, and I had a mini blanket that I was working on. And I wasn't a big fan of the way crochet looks. I don't know. It looked bumpy. And I had just moved out of the house. And so, of course, I had to buy all the Harry Potter movies that were out so that way I could have it at my own house. And it was fall, and I was like, I need a scarf. And I don't want to buy a scarf. I want to make a scarf. But I don't want to crochet it because I want it to look like legit, like in the movie. So I went down to the local yarn shop that isn't there anymore and found Charm Knits, which had like just come
What
out.
was the name of their shop before? Because it was a cute
Pearl
name.
District,
Pearl District.
spelled P-U-R-L.
Cute name.
Great shop.
Super
It was
shop.
fun.
Super sad that they're gone.
Yeah, I used to work there, actually,
Yes,
once
you
I learned
did.
how to knit.
Yes, you did.
And since I lived like a block from the shop, I was there all the time buying the next skein of yarn, the next pair of needles, the next whatever. But yeah, I knit myself this scarf. And of course, since in the years it has since died, I've gone through 2 of these scarves.
Really?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
because at the time I was
How are you wearing them?
well, see, my first one
Who would have known?
was loved by an animal.
Yeah,
And-
animal love does not do good for knits.
No, it was I was a bit heartbroken over it. I will embarrassedly say I cried because it was like, my big accomplishment. It was awesome.
I cried with my first knit too.
Yeah, I totally cried. And then I knit myself a new one. And I used Cascade 220. Love Cascade, FYI.
We are such big fans of Cascade 220.
They're great.
Shout out to Cascade 220.
And all of their yarns. Their merino
That's the one that I
superwash.
I've not used that one.
I want to use their sock yarn. I've never used their sock
I've
yarn.
not used that either. I've only
Stoked
done the
about that.
220. Kind of got stuck on that when I was making, boots and slippers.
And I like their 220 superwash.
I just learned how to do
It's really nice. But I have to say, their superwash merino is like a super freaking soft. Love it. Chunky, weight, like it. My second one, I did not buy superwash. And somebody did me a big, big favor and washed my scarf.
Oh, I forgot. I do remember that. I do remember that now. And it became a kid's scarf.
Yeah.
Really quickly.
Yeah. We've had a couple of
I
instances
forgot about that.
of people being, I'll do you this favor and I'll wash this item for you. Every single time with a scarf. Because I knit a child size one for Zeb,
Uh-huh.
and Joe washed it.
Oh, shoot. So you got a baby doll one.
Not baby doll, younger sister one.
Okay.
Because, even the kid size one is freaking huge.
It is big. Yeah. The Harry Potter scarves are just like, the scarves that go forever. The
Right?
scarves
I love it. They're fabulous. You can wrap them
you
in
hated
any
it while you were
freaking
doing
way.
it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Knitting it, if you have knitted before, knitting it is a little boring. Because all you do is knit. It is knit in the round. So you have 2 layers of super, super soft, cozy warmness.
Awesome end result, though.
End result is amazing. But literally all you do is knit, 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 knit. And then you knit some more. And finally you're done. And then you have to go back and weave in all those lovely ends from all that lovely knitting.
Okay, what else is on your archives?
On the same idea.
Book.
Yeah, same book, same pattern book, same yarn.
Excuse me.
A matching hat. Because who doesn't like to match?
Matchy matchy.
Matchy matchy. And archived is my first ever finished pair of socks
I remember that.
that
You
I
were
gave
so
to my
proud.
mom.
Yes, they are comfy. I love them.
Well, because the funny story, my first ever sock I knitted, I'm still in the midst of knitting. It's a pair.
Oh, it's the second sock syndrome.
It is, and it's gone on for years. So, Pearl District used to do, again, used to because they're not there, outings. Not outings, trips. You know what I'm talking about, the bags at the beach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Little knit johns.
Yeah, and so people could go, and we went. And
Loved it. Had a great time.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Miss it?
In like 2 days, I knit a knee-high
It's like a
sock.
knitting retreat.
Retreat.
Yeah.
That's the word.
I'm looking for yoga retreats. That's why I remember.
And God, that was 8, 9,
Long time ago.
9 years ago.
Oh, we didn't bring anything. Did you make it there?
I did not make this there.
Okay.
I made my sock that I haven't finished there.
Oh, how funny.
So in 1 weekend,
Wow, that's been a long time, baby.
First ever cast on sock. It was toe up. Got it all the way done, all the way up to the knee. It was amazing. And then I had to do the second one. And 9 years later, I'm mid-calf. Yes.
That's funny.
But this one actually has a pair somewhere. And after that, I decided I am not doing high leg socks. And so this is a little booty one.
Yeah. Yeah, we do booties a lot.
And I do like over the ankle. I just don't like doing the long leg ones.
Okay.
I
only have 2 things over here for my archive knitting right now. And one of them is a hat. So every year I not every year, every once in a while I kind of go a little bat crazy. And don't do weird things. And out there, I'm going to push this out there. What is the weirdest thing you've ever knitted? Like, not weird like, weird like crazy weird would be fun too. But weird like, I made 4 baby sweaters in 4 weeks. Never made a sweater before. Didn't have a pattern. Didn't know what the heck I was doing. And by God, my babies were going to have a sweater for Christmas. And
true story.
I did it. And that was, in that part, I want to blame that on the cancer treatment because there's so many things I can't do still. And then when I find something that I'm going to do, I'm going to do it.
I don't know. You went a little sweater.
I went crazy. And the year before, it was crazy with the gauntlets or hats. I made everybody hats and gauntlets, and I had like 5 gauntlets on one needle. And
yeah, but on that one, you couldn't just make it. It couldn't just be made from you. That one had to be, you got the wool, you spun the wool, you dyed the wool, then you knit everybody hats.
I did. It was crazy. I kind of go a little crazy sometimes. So what is the craziest thing you guys did? I know I'm not alone out here.
Okay, no, and then before she had cancer, she went on the Hood to Coast walk, and so that way she didn't have to stop knitting while she was training for that. She taught herself, she got a little mini backpack, put yarn in it, and taught herself how to walk and knit at the same time. And of course she couldn't just knit one thing whilst that. She had to do 2 socks on 2 circular needles at the same time.
But I can't do the second. I get the sock syndrome too much. If I make one, that's all. We're not just going to have one sock forever.
And then since that worked, she put how many pairs of gauntlets on one in one go? 5 pairs.
10
pairs. 10 gauntlets on
I had to get the
2 needles.
Super
needle. And just was knitting those.
I kind of try to figure out what a machine looked like, and try to do that. But anyway, this hat. Boy, we got off of that one really fast. This hat is the remnants of one of the little sweaters that I made. It's the exact same color. It's super cute. Actually, the color's coming out beautiful in there.
Yeah.
It's self-striping.
Although again, you're not seeing the purple very much.
No.
Because there's
your computer
a little
doesn't
bit
like purple. There's
a
little
bit of purple in the darker blue sections.
Yeah. And, so this was a really fun hat. Ended up being a little baby hat, so I enjoyed it. So this is my archive that I'm just bringing today because I wasn't prepared for that. But the other archive I want to bring out is the needle archive. Now, I'm hearing my daughter tell me that, she has needles that are got a project that's been years and years since it's seen the light of day. And this kind of gives you an idea of my crazy. This is in the middle of a row. And why I stopped in the middle of the row, I don't know. But so this looks
Oh, I love that one.
this looks crazier than it is. My daughter, once in a while, so I need to be stimulated a lot because I've got the lazy bug inside. And my daughter stimulates me with competition because I'm kind of a competitive little booger. And so we've had a lot of knitting competitions and I've had a lot of fun with them. Would like to share that with everybody.
Yeah, the winner gets to raid the other's stash.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. We have a good time. There's a lot of rules to it, but we have a good time, and we always know that, we love each other, and that's the main thing. But anyway, we had a competition, and I don't think you played.
I did not,
I don't
because
think
of the
you even
blankets.
put it on the. So
It
we
was
were
the
going,
blankets.
because this was last year's. We were going to do a shawl. I've been starting to do shawls, playing around with those, and again, just making it up as I go because I don't do patterns. And I got this one going, and I made both of my daughters. It's kind of like a prayer shawl, but it's a blanket shawl for
they're awesome.
their birthings of their babies, and it's just something that I can wrap around them when I'm not there. Long story, but this came from that. My mother came to my house 4 years ago and died of cancer 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's 5.
And while I sat by her bed and during that process, I knitted. And I was a doula, and I learned. I brought knitting back into my world. It was a second adventure for knitting for me. I'd put it away for a while, and while I was dueling a client, helping her birth her baby, I would, when there was nothing for me to do, or when she was sleeping, or other things, there would be times that you would just be sitting there. So I'd bring out my needles and I would knit. And I had one of my clients say that just the sound of the clicking of the needles, and I do use Eddie needles. I'm a fan of Eddie. It makes it's like butter. I just love it, love it, love it. Yeah, you're a bambooer, but I do like my metal needles. And that was the first time I realized that the sound of somebody being in the room, somebody being productive in the room, was comforting to somebody that was, working hard. And my mother, while she was dying, she would call me sometimes in the middle of the night because she was afraid of being alone. She didn't want to be there. And who would? I wouldn't. So I would sit down and we had a rocking chair set up in her bedroom, and I would sit down and I would rock while I knit. Sometimes I would sing, sometimes we would do other things, but a couple of weeks went by when the beginning of this process for her, and she said, I don't know what it is, but the sound of the needles clicking in the background helps me sleep. So for you out there, for those that are out there that are caregivers, get a pair of needles to work, not just at home on your off hours. Get it in there. It's a relaxation hit, and so anytime we can help that out. But anyway, off track, I'm sorry. And the reason I went off track is because I couldn't, as I sat knowing that my mom was dying of cancer, I couldn't keep my mind on any pattern. So I got a book that showed me how to do squares, 10 by 10 squares. All of my girls' shawls have been a square that I had made while I aided my mom in her last days of her life. And those are super, super, super emotionally important to me. And so I learned, because I had this really cool thing, to put it into a shawl that my babies can wrap themselves in. And that's where this one came from. Long story to get here. I'm sorry, guys. That's just how I am. I did a lot of color work. It's supposed to be a fall shawl. And so I went, the dirt, the grass, the sky, and I'm going to end up with the sky. But
that's really pretty.
I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing this. This is all, again, natural fiber.
Are you gonna
out of my. I will absolutely block it without a doubt. I can't wait to see what it looks like block. And but these have been on my needles at this point 3 years, if not 4. Long time. He's been on. And so when I went through my battle of cancer a year after my mom passed, I kind of went away from knitting for a little bit. And so we're going to go off road right now. We're just going to go off road for a second because I'm trying to just make this flow into one to the other. As if you've watched the Bakery Bears, season 9, I think it is, you can see the hardship. And thank you again, Dan, for showing us how hard it is, because we all know how hard it is. And it's nice to see that we're not alone in that hardship. So thank you. Thank you for being so brave and showing that to us. But I thought it was knitting. I just thought I was done with knitting, right? So, but I wasn't done with crafting. And so I got into needle felting. And I needle felted. Here's a little mermaid girl. I've got a little redhead granddaughter that wanted.
And she did really cool on her hair.
Yeah. A lot of fun. After I learned how to dye wool, I kind of went crazy and got a bunch of wool from a friend in Bend and had it cleaned, and then now it's in my craft room. We should take a portable picture and put that in there.
It's really
just
pretty.
Cool. I have an abundant, lovely, rich fiber. Yeah. And then my grandson, I made this for him, and it's the guy on Monster.
Oh, yeah. It's a character out of kids show called Monster High. All of my kids love it. And this guy is Voodooed?
Voodooed.
Voodooed?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
I want you to bring one of my tea fairies in. We should have had that with our tea.
And so she...
That's our hoodoo dude.
Yeah, he's like a voodoo doll guy.
All needle felted, with a little bit. There is a armature in here. There's a metal
like
guy,
a wire frame in the
Yeah.
center for both of them.
And these are like,
so that way you can kind of position them a bit.
YouTubed it, and I can't remember. I will look. I will absolutely look for this gal. And she YouTubed via YouTube. I learned how to put metal armatures in. They're supposedly, what's those called?
Position.
Posable. I think that's the word. And I tend to needle felt with all my heart, with all my might, and all my soul. So everything's pretty locked. It's pretty hard, but I like that. It's supposed to be for grandbabies to play with. Of course, I want it to not fall out. So, but these are my two newest little guys. I did tea dolls for a while.
We'll have to bring them in.
We'll show them next time.
Of Rogue.
But these I wanted to show real quick. These are, oh, no, it won't work like that. So I pulled these off of a planter that I did because I suck at keeping plants alive. And they have been out in the weather for more than 3 years on my porch, getting rained on, getting sunned on, getting kitted on, getting cat on. Cats think they're pretty cool. And I just want to show these real quick because I'm going to show these again when I'm done with them. I'm going to repurpose them. I didn't like how they aged. It looked ugly. So I pulled them off, and I'm going to reinvent them and see what I can come up with, and hopefully show them in another podcast if we're still doing it. So that's kind of, oh, and this little funky dude. He's fun. So anyway, that's my Rogue
needle felting.
And so what we feel like of the Rogue is the rest of our crafts, as much as we love knitting, because I always seem to fall back to knitting.
Yeah, as much as I do other crafts, I always have something on my needles.
So what other crafts do you do?
My other things that I do is I make soap.
She makes good soap.
I make soap. It's fun.
We'll have to bring some of that next week to show.
And I'm kind of baking obsessed. A little. I'm gluten intolerant.
She bakes like my grandma.
And so I really enjoy finding new recipes and making them gluten-free.
Yep.
It's fun. Although not always. Sometimes it sucks. Like the other night, I had people over. I had you and Dad over. And I was attempting to make, and it was already a gluten-free recipe, a braided pizza bread.
Mm-hmm.
So it was dough, and then you put down one kind of cheese, which I don't remember what it was. Might have been Jack cheese. Spinach, pepperoni, mozzarella, braided over. And then bacon. It did not turn out at all in a good way. It was bad.
Yeah, we kind of do take out the...
That was,
you got to try.
That was a miss. But sometimes you get a hit, which is awesome.
So you bake?
I bake, I make soap, I knit.
You sew?
I sew, yeah. I do sew. And in sewing, oddly enough, I'm a bit like she is with knitting. I don't really like patterns, although I do love patterns. I'm impatient. I am impatient.
That's what the problem is right there, is the patient level, right? I mean, that's what it ended up. And I wanted to speak about this because I'm hoping that we do this for the next podcast if we hit it off and we come back. So one of the things that, for all of you cancer survivors out there and all of the caretakers of people that are struggling with their cancer fight, find craft work to do. It takes the mind off where your body is and allows your body to catch up to your mind and all of that good stuff. But this behind me, this is another needle felted thing that I did. And as I was doing it, I really learned about those that are struggling and some of the struggles that they do, and that we just kind of struggle in silence. And part of this podcast, for me anyway, is to stop being silent about it and not letting it rule my world, not letting it demolish my world, but letting it have a part in it. And so I'm hoping that this can always possibly, and it might change, I don't know, but right now I like this as the background. But for you guys watching this, wondering what the heck's the cancer thing, what are
all the ribbons?
The ribbons for? That's because there's over 1 million people in this country, in America, that get cancer every year. So you know someone right now that's struggling with that. And if you don't, your closest friend does. So don't let them be alone. Get them out there. Let's hold hands together. This black, the bodied part, the black bodies are the caregivers, and the cancer ribbons are the cancer survivor or the cancer struggler. I've had a couple of uncles. I've had an uncle that passed away of brain cancer last year.
Is that already a year ago?
I think it's been a year. He might not have had his year yet, and I have another uncle that has been let to go home to pass away with his cancer. So it's not always one. I won, woo, and I'm very thankful for that. And I want to share that with others. I want to share what we do with others. And yeah, we might cut that out. We'll see. We'll see what gets left in. But what else? Tea.
Yeah. What are you drinking? Or not? What are you drinking? What is your favorite thing to drink right now?
I'm an Ayurvedic girl. I love Ayurvedics. And Ayurvedics has the Tao of Tea has an Ayurvedic line for each element that's out there. And my favorite thing right now is they have a black tea that's for springtime, and I can't ever pronounce it, so I'm not going to do that. You guys can look for it. It's Tao of Tea. And it's a springtime blend. And it helps with respiratory stuff, as you can see here. I have a respiratory issue going on right now. I seem to always have that. And so it's a black tea that helps open up the respiratory system, helps you breathe in a little bit deeper, has some good caffeine in it. It's a high level of caffeine, probably close to coffee. It's just not acidic like coffee, so it doesn't affect your body the same way. And then I'll blend a little bit of kapha in it, which is my element. I'm a kapha on top of a kapha with a little side of a kapha. So anyway, that's my favorite thing to drink, or what I fall back to every time. But right now, my niche right now is peach tea. I'm going crazy over, what is it, Lipton peach tea?
No, it's not Lipton. It's like Bigelow.
There you go.
It's Bigelow
peach tea. Put a little bit of cinnamon and honey in that. It's like peach cobbler. Love it. Love it. That's what I'm doing right now.
Right now,
What do you do?
I am currently super digging on. I'm a Twinings fan. I like Twinings of London. They're my favorite tea company, and I right now love their ultra spiced chai. The ultra spiced chai is the best.
I'm a chai fan. I am, but I'm picky.
Oh, it's so good. It's better than their normal chai. And I like it more than other pumpkin spice chai or seasonal chai or whatever.
Or whatever.
And I also really, really like my classic standby of Earl Grey.
You are an Earl Grey
I
girl.
like Earl Grey.
What is your favorite tea? And what's your thing right now? What you looking at? I want to hear.
Yes.
What else do we have?
And that's it.
And that's it.
All right. We will hopefully see you again next week.
Woo-doo. Take care.